Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. My name is Mary Francis, and I am one of Emerging Raleigh's students. Welcome to Medical Qigong Practice. If you are new, welcome. Please don't feel like you have to learn all of these exercises all at once. We've been building up to them, but just enjoy practicing, allowing the mind to relax into the breath. And please stick around for our Qi Chat afterwards. Let's go ahead and warm up. I'm going to try to mirror you. We're going to open up to the left. We want our feet parallel so the channels are open evenly in the front of the body and in the back of the body. Relaxing into the space. The tip of the tongue is touching the roof of the mouth. That's connecting the front of the body with the back of the body. And we're going to do some tapping, starting out about 3 to 4 finger breaths beneath the belly button in the lower dantian. Tapping with the right hand to open up the left side of the body. We're working up the midline. Breathing in and out through the nose. Tapping with just enough force. Start waking up the tissues, helping to activate the blood and qi flow. Coming down the outside of the arm, back of the hand, and the palm. Coming back on up the inner aspect of the arm to the shoulder. Letting that arm hang loose. And then wiping away anything we don't need or want, letting it go back into the earth. Opening up now the right side. We're still starting in the lower dantian. 3 to 4 finger breaths beneath the belly button. And coming on up. Noticing any areas that might be a little more tender than others. Underneath the clavicle, to underneath the arm. Circling around. Allowing the breath to enter as deeply as possible without forcing the breath. You never want to move into discomfort or pain. If you start to do so, go ahead and modify the exercise. Wiping out anything you don't need or want, letting it go back into the earth. From here, we're simply widening the stance to the left. We're opening up the channels in the lower half of the body by tapping the inner thigh and then up at the hip. And then continuing on, widening the stance a little further. We're traveling down the inner aspect of the legs towards just above the ankle or wherever it's comfortable for you. Before then working to the lateral aspect of the legs. Tapping your way back on up to the hips and the glutes, sliding that left foot a little closer to the right, maintaining that hip with shoulder width distance so you have a nice stable stance. And then continuing on up towards just underneath the rib cage or wherever it's comfortable for you. Waking up those kidneys, waking up the tissues in the low back. Before then placing the palms at the low back, circling down the sides and up the spine. Resting the palms at the low back. Closing the eyes. As we inhale, guiding the breath and the qi down through the nose into the torso, meeting up with the palms of the hands. As you exhale, letting that chi flow to wherever it's needed within the body. Inhaling, guiding the breath in the chi to the low back, allowing it to fill up. Exhaling, allowing the chi to flow freely to wherever it's needed. Taking a few more breaths at your own pace. Inhaling and exhaling, allowing the mind to relax, the body to relax, allowing the chi to flow freely. Gently opening the eyes, letting the arms come back down to the sides, and closing by bringing that left foot back to the right. Continuing the warm-ups, we're working on an exercise from the basic 8. It's a heart and small intestine exercise, and it corresponds to the summertime. We're opening up. Feet are hip width, shoulder width apart, a little wider is fine. We're inhaling as we bring the arms and hands forward towards the lower dantian. Exhaling as we form claws. Inhaling as we guide the arms and the hands up above the head. Holding the breath as we switch the palms and feet out. Exhaling, sweeping the arms out. Backs to the hands touch the inner thigh. Inhaling. Exhaling. In. Out. Working at your own pace. Trying to keep those claws nice and strong. And allowing the breath to guide the pace and rate of the movement. And about one more. Releasing the hands and closing. Continuing on with our regular series, the Golden 8 series. The first exercise for the lung and large intestine is reach for happiness. Opening. Inhaling. Exhaling. In and out. Inhaling. Exhaling. In and out. Continuing on, we're trying to harmonize the breath with the movement. Allowing the breath to draw forth the movement. And getting ready to close. Closing. Our second exercise, the heart and small intestine exercise, the archer opening. Inhaling. Exhaling. In. And out. Inhaling. And continuing on using your breath to guide the movement. Allowing the mind to relax into the breath. And getting ready to close. Closing. Spleen and stomach are next, in between heaven and earth. Inhaling. Exhaling. In. And out. Inhaling. Exhaling. Enjoying each element of the movement, allowing each element to flow one into the other. Trying to keep the body relaxed, the tissues relaxed, so that the qi and blood may flow more freely. Getting ready to close. Closing. Our fourth exercise for the Sanjiao system, turn and look back, opening. Inhaling, exhaling, in. And out. Inhaling. And exhaling. Getting ready to close. Closing. Our liver gallbladder exercise, twist and release, opening. Inhaling. And exhaling. In. And out. Allowing the breath to generate the movement. And getting ready to close. Closing. Bend for help for the kidneys and urinary bladder. Opening. Inhaling, gathering around the lower dantian. Exhaling to the kidneys. Inhaling. And exhaling. In. And out. Inhaling. Exhaling. And inhaling back to the start. Continuing on. And getting ready to close. Closing. Our seventh exercise for the Ren channel or conception vessel, energy punch. We're opening, inhaling, exhaling, in and out. Inhaling and exhaling. About 2 more times each side. Getting ready to close. Closing. Our last exercise, energy jump for the dew channel or the governing vessel. It's in 2 parts. Opening, inhaling, and exhaling. In and out. Transitioning to part 2. Inhaling as the arms come up, exhaling as they come down. And taking away the momentum. So we gradually come back to the center. Closing. Keeping our feet together so we can retain all that wonderful energy that we've been cultivating over the past 25 minutes. I'm going to get closer so we can see. If you take the hands, rub them together, creating a little bit of friction, a little bit of warmth, transferring some of that wonderful chi to the palms, and then the palms to the face. We're going to wash the face 9 times. And then wiping the brow and underneath the eye 9 times. Wiping up and down the nose 9 times. And then 9 circles inward and outward at the base of the nose, the middle of the nose, and the very top of the nose. Imagining underneath the pupil at the divot on the cheekbone, inward and outward 9 times. Then using all of your fingertips to dredge the channels of the scalp, also 9 times. Beating the drum 9 times. And then grasping the ear 9 times each side. Popping the cork 9 times. One fingertip on the philtrum, the other on the mandibular crease for circling inward and then outward 9 times each. Massaging the jaw, using the base of the palm 9 times each side. Our number is going to change to 12 times total, or 6 times each side. We're now going to brush down the throat, guiding some of that wonderful energy from the head into the torso. And then continue brushing down 12 times total, or 6 times each side, down the breastbone. Bringing the palms to the lower dantian, that's about 3 to 4 finger breaths beneath the belly button. We're going to circle up the right and down the left 9 times. We're guiding all that wonderful energy that you've been cultivating into the lower dantian, the lower energy center. Once you've done 9 circles, now we're going to switch directions, up the left and down the right. We're concentrating that energy into the lower dantian. Also 9 circles, resting the palms at the lower dantian, allowing the eyes to close, using the mind's eye, the mind intent. As we inhale through the nose, we're guiding the breath and the chi to the lower dantian, allowing it to fill up with energy. And as we exhale, we're allowing that energy to settle and store so that you may use it throughout the rest of your day. Inhaling, guiding the breath and the chi to the lower dantian, allowing it to fill up with energy. Exhaling, allowing that energy to settle and store so that it may be utilized throughout the rest of your day. Inhaling and exhaling at your own pace, allowing the mind to relax into the breath, allowing the body to relax, and allowing the chi to settle and store. Thank you so very, very much for joining us today on this Wednesday for our medical Qigong practice. Henry, please give us our Qi chat. Please lead our Qi chat.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you, Mary Frances. We are on day 56, so 8 weeks. So today, we've been talking about 5 elements, and more particularly, we've been talking about the generating cycle yesterday. So the generating cycle in the 5 elements is that clockwise cycle where the previous element generates the next element. So let me just pull that up real quick. Oops, that's the wrong button here. Let's see, okay. All right, so here's the 5 element chart. Hopefully you're getting very familiar with this illustration. So if we look at the clockwise, so we can see this goes clockwise, where wood gives birth or generates fire, okay, like fuel for a fire, and fire generates earth. So think about when you burn something, those ashes, they actually become earth, right? And that becomes very nutritious for say, farming. And then earth generates metal. So think about mining like a mountain for metal. Okay, that's one way to look at it. And then one way to look at metal generating or giving birth to water is like metal collecting water. And maybe one visual you can think about is when you get to your car in the morning and you see all this dew on your car. Okay, so that metal surface, because it cools down with the science behind it, okay, it actually makes dew. The water from the air gets captured and becomes becomes water on your car. But so metal collects water, and then water gives birth to wood. I mean, if you're a plant, if you're a gardener, you know that all your plants need water. So that's the whole generating cycle. So we talked a bit more about how water feeds the wood and how wood feeds the fire. So how does fire generate or nourish the earth, right? So the earth personality, its gift and its challenge is that it can be very stubborn. Okay, think about earth being very grounded and also unmovable at times. So you can do all you want to convince some earth person to change their mind. They may not want to or let you do that. For both good and bad. Like if they're protecting you, you really appreciate that earth person being totally immovable and unchangeable. But of course, if you're trying to change their mind, you're not on their side, it becomes extremely difficult and frustrating. So the fire, being what we say, the parent of earth, adds that spontaneity. So it's quite the opposite in a way. Whereas earth tends to be very pattern oriented and very stable, very predictable. Fire on the other hand, tends to be more spontaneous in the moment. So for the earth person, that can be a great help sometimes, because sometimes they can't get out their own way. And so that fire can really get that earth moving a little bit, budging a little bit, getting into the fun and the joy of life instead of just about the caring, and that stuff's important too, but really enjoying life, because that's the other challenge of earth, is that they're good at taking care of other people, but they may not necessarily be good about taking care of themselves. And so that fire, that fun really can remind them that, hey, they can have some fun too. They can enjoy life. They can connect with others. It's not just about taking care of everybody else. It's also important to take care of myself. Okay, so let's move on to the next part. So how does earth generate or nourish metal, right? So if we think about metal, we look at that strive for perfection, that aloofness, and they tend to be a little bit more of loners instead of the more gregarious type, like a fire person would be. So with metal, it's sometimes they just really need a hug. Okay, sometimes that cool exterior sort of puts you off, but sometimes that earth comes in and just wants to take care of you, and actually the metal really enjoys that. They may not really say it, but it really gives them a boost. So so that's a little bit insight on how we nourish the metal. If someone's very much into their cutting people off and being distant, sometimes you just go in there and give them a hug regardless. So that's a good way. All right, so let's look at how metal generates or nourishes the water. Okay, so water tends to be, okay, so fire, I'm going to contrast this. So fire tends to be a bit scattered, right? Going up, and you can look at the characteristics of flame. Water can tend to be scattered in a way too. If you dump water on a surface, it just goes everywhere, right? But it's different. It's not scattered in the same way. There's a certain flow and tendency with water. It tends to, what it's doing is trying to go back to its source. But sometimes water needs a container, all right, to help it give it a little bit direction. So the metal, because it contains water, right? It's like a container, and that sometimes that separation, that aloofness, is also a containment, and so that can help the water out a lot in terms of organization and focus. So that's I think that's all 5 elements we covered now. Okay, so you start to see that each element needs another element to help it. Okay, because none of these elements, even though I say that fire is really the only element that really can sustain itself, all of these elements do better right, with the help of others. And that's what I really want to emphasize here, is that we all have gifts, we all have challenges, but you know, don't try to just do everything on your own. You have other people that can help you, that are totally willing to help. And there's a synergy that happens if you put different elements together that are greater than the sum of its parts. So that's all I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to talk a little bit more tomorrow about emotionally how that works with this generating cycle. And then I want to get into the control cycle. Okay. So thank you for joining me and joining Mary Frances. Again, congratulations if you've been with us since the beginning. You've completed 8 weeks of Qigong. If you haven't gotten there yet, please keep it up. We all can do it. So this is kind of evidence that we have. And if you need to catch up, our videos are on YouTube. So again, have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow at 8:15.